Two different tropical disturbances will bring impactful weather to two different areas at two different times. Your weather, brought by the number 2, starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi, my friends. Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We are your home for Caribbean weather, and it is great to see you for this latest video. Hope you're doing well. Coming up in this video, we'll talk about the disturbance that will be moving into the Eastern Caribbean over the weekend, and a second one that is likely to bring some widespread impactful rain to the western side of the Caribbean starting early next week. As always, Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys, offering free consultation and policy reviews. They'll walk you through that insurance claim process. Check them out by going to leanonmelaw.com for more information. As always, love to hear from the fantastic MM weather community. Let me know what's been happening in your area. If there's anything I can do to make your experience here more pleasurable, let me know in the comment section below as well. We'll start off with our surface analysis. Again, we have this boundary that has set up shop over the central and the southern sides of the Bahamas and this trough in the Gulf, and it's just led to a lot of cloudiness over our far northwest areas today. We'll look at that, some rain associated with that as well, some showers and storms redeveloping in portions of Panama and Costa Rica. We have a weak trough right now moving through the eastern side of the Caribbean, but there is more impactful weather with our disturbance back out in the Atlantic, which will be racing through the Eastern Caribbean for the weekend ahead. But let's get started with, again, our areas to the north here. So this is our enhanced satellite imagery. A couple things I want to do here real quick. First of all, I'm just going to bring on temperatures, and you're going to notice when those pop on that the overcast skies have kept temperatures down a bit. Florida, portions of Cuba, and especially into the northern side of the Bahamas, where places like Freeport and Lucaya today didn't even get to 80 degrees Fahrenheit for a daytime high. This is the visible satellite imagery. Now, along this boundary, it's the same situation as yesterday. Let me put that boundary on the map as well here real quickly. So here's what's happening. You've got low-level winds that are coming out of the east, but you also have this mid-level circulation, which is sitting out here on the north end of this trough in the central Gulf. And that's kicking out some energy across the peninsula of Florida and just bringing some cloud coverage right now. This is mainly the thinner high variety clouds. There's not a lot of rain associated with it. Let me show you what it looks like right now on the radar imagery here out of the Miami, Florida area. And again, this is a lot of light shower activity, and some of this isn't even reaching the ground. Now, it's most prominent in the southern third of Florida through portions of the Keys, and some of those showers have tried to sneak their way with a passing shower or two over the northwest Bahamas. So Grand Bahama, Walker's Key, Abacos, Bimini, again, with a little bit of cloud coverage, a little bit of shower activity. Cloud coverage has been fairly prominent in the central and the northern Bahamas throughout the day, and this is one of those stories. Live look outside to Long Island in the central Bahamas. Again, we have our live cameras here at Meteo Mundo to help tell the weather story. If you like those, I appreciate you hitting the like button for me right now as well. There's one of those showers developing on the western side of the island here, offshore. Might try and sneak its way in, but it's been fairly spotty today. And then back up into central Eleuthera, just again, a little bit of thin high cloud coverage. This is about as much sunshine as I've seen from this camera all day long, so they're thinning the clouds out a little bit here late on this Thursday. But this is a boundary that is likely to stick around in the coming days to produce at least a couple of showers in an isolated thunderstorm as well. From time to time, we'll get some breezy conditions, nothing outrageous in this area, at least at this point in time. Let's swing on back over to our infrared satellite imagery here, and I'm just going to drop off that radar data. Still looking at the opportunity for a couple of showers to develop here in our northwest areas, but again, the air is somewhat drier a little bit farther south from that boundary. I'll bring on the water vapor imagery, and in this map, red is indicating dry air, so you can see that this is where we have that mid-level low beginning to develop here, and it's just kicking some energy east, but behind it, the air is actually relatively dry, and that is wrapped back over Quintana Roo for today with a few showers and storms developing. Now, when I bring you back over to the visible satellite imagery, the interesting thing about this is, again, this is a area where we have low-level winds going in a different direction than mid-level winds, but a lot of the showers and the isolated thunderstorms trying to develop in this area today, and they're very few and far between. Show you the lightning data here at Meteo Mundo, the live lightning data. There's not much in the way of lightning. They're actually trying to push back offshore. Pretty unusual pattern for this time of the year. Can't rule out a couple of isolated showers over portions of Belize and Roatan, Utila, and Guanaja, but again, many dry hours and locations for us here overall. Once again, we're getting a few isolated, localized showers and storms developing over Jamaica. Now, the western side of the island continues to struggle. It's going to be a long, long time, friends, before things get anywhere near normal. So trying to keep some of the heaviest storms away from this area would be a good thing. We had a couple of isolated showers and a few thunderstorms for St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland parishes earlier today. They've actually built east in a couple of thunderstorms right now, kind of northern Clarendon and the southern sides of St. Anne in just a broad perspective. But a lot of this activity is pulling east, and hopefully, again, not a lot of rain for the western side of the island here in the short term. Same situation for southeast Cuba. These are areas that were hit really hard with Melissa. We don't need a lot of thunderstorm activity here, but Santiago de Cuba and the Guantanamo area could be in store for a few isolated showers and storms. Same situation for the southwestern sides of Haiti, again towards Lacaille. These are areas that are desperate to continue to stay dry conditions with the massive flash flooding and the isolation of communities here that flash flooding has caused. We don't need any more additional heavier rain, but we're going to get a few strokes of lightning and some downpours on the western side there. But generally speaking, Hispaniola has been relatively quiet for today. A rumble of thunder just west of Puerto Plata. Not a bad situation for our friends in Puerto Rico and the U.S. and British Virgin Islands on this late Thursday. The flow is still going to be out of the east. Again, we have a very weak trough that is swinging through this area. The moisture associated with it is relatively shallow. So when we're talking about showers and storms, we're talking about being very localized in most areas. This is the live radar out of Puerto Rico, and we're confining a few showers and isolated rumble of thunder from the Mayaguez area towards Aguadilla and Isabela, even off toward the west of Arecibo. Everything is trying to pull off towards the west across the Mona Passage. Can't rule out some of those showers trying to get towards Punta Cana, but the deeper into the day that we go, those showers will begin to fade off a bit as well. Vieques, Culebra could see a passing shower. Same situation across the Virgin Islands for today, but again, many dry hours and locations overall. The moisture content of this trough that's quickly moving through is just not very prominent right now, so I'm not expecting there to be a lot in the way of rainfall associated with it, at least in the shorter term. Now down the road, rain chances will begin to improve in this area, and we'll look at that coming up. Same situation for our friends here in the Leeward Islands. Again, can't rule out a quick passing shower here. We're going to elevate the sea conditions starting overnight through Friday. So look for the opportunity for some marine advisories to come back into play. That could be in the form of some small craft advisories, could be some high surf advisories, and that would include, potentially Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands and the Lesser Antilles. I can tell you all the way down in Barbados right now, they already have a marine advisory up because the swells are going to begin to pick up here in the 2 to 3 meter heights beginning on Friday. A couple of light passing showers. There's a little rumble of thunder just east of Dominica for today towards Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Barbados. But again, not a lot of rain for today. So you get another gorgeous shot, Corinth, St. Lucia here. Again, late afternoon, sun setting as we look off towards the west. Just a beautiful sky there on the western horizon overhead. Things are relatively quiet. When I go back over to the infrared satellite imagery here, again, we're still watching a chunk of tropical moisture associated with a broad disorganized disturbance that's going to be moving into this area here, especially into the Windward Islands beginning tomorrow. You can see closer to Barbados and TNT. Some of this activity is getting a little bit closer already and will spread in. Now, we'll talk more about that coming up, but we've had some localized showers and storms in Trinidad and Tobago for today. Mainly dry in Grenada north towards the Grenadines. Nueva Esparta could run over a brief shower or storm, and the opportunity here to see at least a couple of showers try and stream back into the ABC Islands. But again, limited moisture is going to mainly lead to this, and that's a gorgeous late afternoon as well. The Iranistان area of Aruba. Even the wind today, yes, it's breezy, but it's not nearly as significant as it has been here. And again, the ABC Islands are moving into their wet season, and we haven't talked much about rain here in the last couple of weeks. Friends, I appreciate you guys. We're to move on now to your local forecast and the tropical update. If you wouldn't mind taking a quick second, hit that like button for me. I do appreciate it. Please join the fantastic weather community. Hitting that subscribe button for you right now. Thank you very much for doing so. Thanks for sharing this channel with your family and friends. Memberships are open. Appreciate all the old and new members. Of course, you get those badges during our live streams. It'll let you know exactly how long you have been a member. There's 2 tiers available. For just 99 cents a month, you can become a supporter. Those custom badges and emojis Team MM, you get that and exclusive access to member short videos I put together and send out to the Team MM members in between these video updates. Let's get into the forecast here as well. So I'm going to break it down. We're going to start off with your island by island rainfall forecast and then move on from there and talk tropics. So let me back this down to just the next couple of days. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the disturbance that's going to impact the Eastern Caribbean over the weekend. That's disturbance number one in the headline. Disturbance number two is what's likely to develop in the Western Caribbean starting late this weekend, but especially into early next week. Now, again, a disturbance is not a tropical depression. It's not a tropical storm. It is a disorganized area of showers and storms. A disturbance is a tropical wave, or can be. And the bottom line is a lot of this activity can be very broad, hundreds of miles wide, even more than that, and bring fresh winds and locally heavy downpours to a broad area. It's when those waves become, more developed, they get low-level centers. That's when you get depression and storms and the other things that we see in the heart of hurricane season. Now, this time of the year, as we get deeper into November, environmental conditions become a little less favorable for that. But there is still an opportunity in one area that we're going to be monitoring for next week. This is likely not to develop, okay? So we're not talking about an organized area, but that does mean it's a broad, sloppy system coming through the Lesser Antilles and the Eastern Caribbean in general, starting late Friday and especially Saturday and on Sunday. So for these areas, get prepared for some active weather, some potentially impactful weather in the form of locally heavy downpours that could lead to some isolated flooding, kicking up the marine conditions. As I mentioned already, there is a marine advisory for Barbados, and other areas could fall under that because we'll likely pick up swells in the 2 to 3 meter plus range as this disturbance moves through, and just kind of a wet, sloppy, at least start to the weekend. So Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, Grenada, TNT, Nueva Esparta, all with high rain chances here. Some areas like Barbados, that will move in late Friday. Other areas, it'll be overnight into Saturday. But again, starting the weekend off on the wetter side, a couple of inches of rain, 2 to 3 inches, 50 to 75 millimeters in these spots over the next few days. Certainly not out of the question with even locally higher amounts. So please keep that in mind. Now, in the short term, you get up towards Martinique and especially Dominica and Guadeloupe north, and the rain chance to begin this is a little bit lower, but the moisture holds on the farther north and Lesser Antilles that you go for a little bit longer in the forecast. So I have a very sharp gradient of rain in the Windward Islands peaking on Saturday, and I have a more smooth curve of rain chances in the northern side of the Lesser Antilles towards the Leeward Islands throughout the next 3 days. So if you live in Montserrat, Antigua Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Saba, St. Eustatius, St. Barts, St. Martin, Anguilla, your rain chances aren't going to be exceptionally high every day, but the rain chance will be there in a moderate category at least through Sunday. And this moisture will just spread off towards the east, so Anegada and Virgin Gorda and Tortola and Jost Van Dyke, St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John, and again, Vieques and Culebra and Puerto Rico, we'll see some decent, solid rain chances here with some locally heavy downpours, and can't rule out a little bit of flooding. Now, hopefully it's just moderate rain chances across the Dominican Republic and Haiti for those areas that, again, have been so inundated with the rain. I know it's been drying out, but the devastation, is so widespread in these areas that we just don't need more impactful weather. We don't need additional areas of flooding. We're going to get some scattered showers and a few rumbles of thunder over the weekend, but I don't expect it to be crazy concentrated. And that'll be the same situation over Jamaica as well. It's not a completely dry forecast, but the rain totals and chances aren't exceptionally high. I'm not overtly concerned about the rain that we're going to see in Jamaica. Now, again, if a good thunderstorm develops over an area like Treasure Beach that just doesn't need it, and there's plenty of areas, that's just an example. Again, it could cause some problems, but hopefully we don't get that. It's just more passing showers than anything else. This broad disturbance will just become a little bit more diffuse, so the rain chances will fall a little bit over the Bahamas. Here is the interesting thing about this, right? We have this elongated boundary. Let me pause this real quickly. And I'm going to show you the European and the GFS models coming up, but the European model especially hints at the opportunity of at least some kind of a hybrid low developing just southwest of Bermuda and pulling in good rain and wind over Bermuda as we get into the weekend, as we get into kind of late, Saturday and into Sunday. Look at that coming through. And there could be a low-level center associated with that. Now, this would likely be a subtropical system, if anything, and more than likely isn't going to develop, but you can clearly see how that wraps up, at least for a really quick time, and it blasts some good rain chances through Bermuda. So again, it's just another interesting area of active weather. Now, we'll be watching the monsoon trough continue to get more active in the Southwest Caribbean. Again, we'll discuss this a little bit more in detail coming up in just a second, but if you live in the western third of the Caribbean, you should expect rain chances to really begin to improve starting late this weekend and early next week. Best rain chances over the weekend will be in the southern sides of Central America, but some of this moisture will lift north towards Nicaragua and Honduras and Guatemala and Belize and the Yucatan in the coming days. So island by island, here's how we break it down for you guys. 30% chance for tomorrow in the Northwest Bahamas. Again, most of that rain is not very heavy. There's not a lot of lift in the atmosphere right now overall. And just a 20% chance over the weekend. Same situation for the central and southeast Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. Cuba's rain chances are highest on the western side of the island, but again, a few localized thunderstorms out east as well. Overall falling a category on Saturday and Sunday. More isolated to a scattered rumble of thunder in the Cayman Islands, but many dry hours and locations. Belize City's rain chances are not fantastic in the next couple days, but again, slight improvement beginning on Sunday, and that number is likely to go up through most of the early part of next week. Cancun and Cozumel, again, fairly isolated too. So there's the 30% chance in Jamaica. Nothing outrageous, but not completely dry for the afternoon hours for the next few days. The Dominican Republic's rain chances should improve, unfortunately, again, up to 50 on Sunday. It's not all areas that need to stay dry, but again, you just don't want impactful weather in these areas that have been hit so hard lately from what's been left over with Melissa. Puerto Rico's rain chances should improve by Sunday as well. Building rain chances in the Virgin Islands. There's that system pulling across Bermuda. High rain chance on Saturday with it. Also some gusty winds. Anguilla's rain chances, St. Kitts and Nevis, stay in that moderate category, especially Saturday and Sunday. Building rain chances in Antigua and Barbuda. So again, these areas north won't have the exceptionally high rain chances Saturday as Martinique and areas south, but they'll hold on to better rain chances on Sunday, where rain chances south will fall a little bit quicker into Sunday. But overall, this is a relatively wet pattern. It's not going to be one that may keep you indoors all weekend, so it's not that kind of impacts, but showers quickly coming through with those east winds riding across the area will bring waves of rain. Now you get down towards SVG, St. Lucia, Barbados, Grenada, TNT. These are areas with much higher rain chances overall on Saturday, but it's, kind of that tent pole, if you will. So lower Friday, lower Sunday, tent pole high rain chances on Saturday through Suriname and Guyana. Decent rain chances in Nueva Esparta. Don't have a ton of rain here in the ABC Islands. So as far as mariners, boaters, again, we're going to be kicking up those 7, 8, 9-foot wave heights, and those will be freshening up and moving through a lot of the Caribbean as we go through the week ahead. The other thing that I'll be watching here, and I'll have more about this coming up, is there should be a very significant cold front coming through the United States and into the Gulf and into the Western Atlantic, and that should drive northerly winds deep into the Caribbean, all right? Even deeper than what we had with this last frontal boundary. This will clear more area. That could be a focusing mechanism for some showers and storms, and we'll see how that wants to interact with what is likely to be a developing disturbance and that monsoon trough in the western side of the Caribbean. As far as rainfall totals go, again, you're going to catch some spots that are going to be relatively impressive here. So, you see these red areas, that's going to be a few inches of rain at the very minimum, but in some areas, we're talking about 4, 5, 6+ inches of rain. So anywhere from 100 to 150 millimeters, and even locally higher than that in a couple of areas. Obviously, down the road, we'll be watching this monsoon trough lifting north and potentially some exceptional rainfall totals, maybe, again, touching 10 inches or so. If I take myself off camera, on the right-hand side of your screen, bottom right, the max rainfall on the European model in inches for the week ahead is 18. And that is going to be portions of Central America. Hopefully we don't get that much, but you get the idea of what I'm expecting coming into the Western Caribbean as we go into the weekend. and early next week. So let's get into it. We'll start off with the GFS model. And again, get a lot of crap about the GFS model. First of all, it's just a tool to tool belt, one that I can show you guys here. And since we don't have anything tropically in nature, we do have our global models like the GFS and the European. Those are the main global models. There's the Icon, the German, and the Canadian CMC. They're okay, but looking at these two, just consistency again. Regardless whether this wants to try and wrap up and produce a low-level center, even if it hugs the Central American coastline, the models continue to hint at very high rain chances, some gusty winds, and just very widespread rain overall. I mentioned this front coming in, and I'll show you that more even on the wind, but what that will likely do is kind of flatten out the rain here and keep whatever active weather is going to be developing from going anywhere very quickly anytime soon. So this kind of gets stuck in the Western Caribbean. It doesn't move much, right? It's not able to find an escape route to the north. So you just want to talk about wherever this rain wants to develop, why the European model would be showing 18 inches in a couple of areas of Honduras and Guatemala and potentially Belize. It's simply because this isn't going anywhere. It's going to be very slow. And the other thing about it too is, remember, sea surface temperatures are very high. So if this thing can sit out in the open waters, it just gives it more opportunity to organize down the road. Again, I'm not overtly concerned about what I'm seeing right now as far as tropical development, but I am concerned about the potential for the significant active weather and the amount of rain we might get in the western third of our area through most of next week. Let's take a look at the winds associated with the GFS here. These are going to be your surface-based winds. So it'll take just a quick second here to fully loop up. But again, fresh winds coming through all the way through the Caribbean. Here comes that cold front. We could have some 30, 40 mile an hour winds that are associated with the cold front, even in portions of the Bahamas. But right along the coast, just right along the coast, you try and get a low-level center here on the GFS trying to develop. And again, regardless, even if that doesn't happen, the fresh winds, the amount of moisture with the monsoon trough, a lot of lift in the atmosphere, and very high sea surface temperatures are likely to bring a big old swath of rain that's not moving very quickly for most of the week. When we look at the GFS models, the ensembles, right? So that was the deterministic. It's an ensemble member, 50 of them run. So we look at all the different ones. Again, we still have this little area here. Never picked up the one that the European is. I'll show you in a second. But again, down the road, about a week or so ahead, 7, 8, 9 days, we have an opportunity again for some kind of low-level center to develop here in the Western Caribbean. Not a high chance, but it can't rule it out. Watch the GFS pick up this little area right there. That's what I just showed you. It sneaks on by Bermuda very quickly, but it's interesting that along that boundary it picks it up. Now, the European model, again, plays around with the opportunity for an isolated area of low pressure to develop here. Same situation is not for 7, 8, 9 days, but we do have at least an opportunity for some kind of very broad disturbance or development to occur. And again, I think the biggest issue right now is just how much rain with a very sloppy, slow-moving system it could bring to all of Central America, moving into the Yucatan, Cuba, the Cayman Islands, and yes, even Jamaica, potentially some of that moisture even spreading back over the Bahamas, maybe portions of Hispaniola, Turks and Caicos as well. This could be, again, a disturbance that could be very widespread as far as the impacts being felt. Friends, I appreciate you guys. You can always follow us across all of our social media platforms. We're on Instagram, TikTok, X, and Facebook. You want to send me a picture or video to tell a weather story in your area? The easiest way to do that is myMediaMundo@gmail.com. You have a question about the forecast? Let me know. Please remember that Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys offering free consultation and policy reviews. They'll walk you through that insurance claim process so you have nothing to lose. Check them out, leanonmelaw.com, for more information. Friends, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for spending part of your day with me. That means a lot. Have a great rest of your day. I'm back tomorrow with your latest forecast right here at Meteo Mundo.